obviously there can be some big money made in left for dead stocks, but it's got to be real tricky. I want to bring in Real Talk Capital CEO Rob Luna. Rob, I mean, is it worth bottom fishing? I think everyone kind of looks around every now and then and sees a stock that they gave up on. I've done it in my career and like, golly, I should have held or I should have bought more. But in hindsight, it's easy though, right?
Yeah, it always is easy, Charles, and especially if you look at a stock like this, it's easy to look at it now and see where it's gone. But think about all the accounting regularities, and that's definitely one of those sell signals. I think it's tough, Charles, but look, there are some companies that I think get left behind for dead that really shouldn't. Look at companies like Apple, companies like Meta. Those are the types of companies I think when you see that negative pessimism, everybody just throwing them out, those are the ones I think you can get back into. The ones like Luckin, I don't know, Charles. I think most people would have been out of that one, not just yourself.
How do you know, though? Do you just kind of know the fundamentals? Like, I'll give you an example. NVIDIA, I tell this story all the time. I want to say 2007 or something like that. It was on a cover of Forbes. It was in January. It was the stock of the year, and they had the CEO on the cover of Forbes. Stock was like $12. It went to $1. And it stayed there for years. So people knew it had potential. You knew it had potential. And once it was revealed, at one point it was up 40,000%. But I guess you truly have to know the company, right?
Yeah, I think that's it, Charles. There's no substitute for really doing your research and looking at a longer-term picture. Like, I'm not one of those guys that says, just buy and hold and forget about it. But you have to look at that long-term thesis because a lot of these times, companies like NVIDIA, they're way ahead of their time. Companies like Amazon, way ahead of their time. That stock at one point was down 90%, and we know what happened with that. So you've got to do your research. You've got to have that long-term thesis, and that doesn't necessarily mean because the stock pulls out, you get out. Stick with that, and when you see those big pullbacks, but that thesis is still intact, that's when you want to start to load up on those names, and you got to close your ears to some of those Wall Street analysts because we all know the track record of them, and it's not too well.
Yeah, absolutely. What are your thoughts on today's session?
I think it's pretty remarkable. The stock market has been really resilient. I heard you talking with Bob Dole. We've really been chopping around. If you look at what's going on with the community banks right now, Charles, the fact that we can put together a rally like this when the underlying economic system is in a lot of trouble, so are the small businesses, I think it's very, very positive. I do believe this market wants to rally, but we talked about it last week. We need to get some more certainty, and in particular, we can't have banks going out of business every other day.
Before I let you go, I know there's some names that you like here. Amazon, Deere, and Zoom. That's sort of a left for dead name.
It is. So speaking of left for dead, I think Zoom obviously did tremendous under COVID. But I think COVID, because it was so long, psychologically, the world is reversed. Look at commercial real estate, which we all know is probably the next shoe to drop. People are downsizing office space. New companies that are heading towards becoming unicorns now, not even taking office space anymore. Zoom continues to innovate. Just because you can say a Zoom meeting, like Google something, I think this is an innovator. I think it's a leader. There's a lot more subscription services that are going to be tacked on, which means a lot more recurring revenue. I think this is a company you have to take a longer-term look. I do like Zoom with this pullback, and technically it looks pretty good right here.
I got to tell you, I wasn't impressed with management, but to your point, if work from home is permanent, if there's a paradigm shift, then obviously Zoom should be able to do better than the stock has seen here recently. Rob, great seeing you, my man. Talk to you again real soon.
All right. Thanks, Charles.